Hello guys, my name is SVB and I'm back with another video, and today we're going to talk about something very important: how to review your own games. Now in my previous video I talked about the methods with which to understand a game of Overwatch when you watch it back, so I'm going to be building on those concepts to teach you guys how to spot mistakes, how to identify patterns, and how to come up with solutions that can improve your own gameplay. As always, if you see something you like or learn something new during the video, then please do subscribe and consider becoming a Patreon of mine, the link to which is in the video description. And if you have any feedback or suggestions for future videos, do let me know in the comment section. Now let's get to it guys. So in a few minutes, I'm going to show you one of my own games that I recently played, and we're going to review it together. And I'll talk you guys through how you'd review one of your own games. But before that, I'm just going to talk through the types of things that I'll be looking at and why. The first and most obvious thing that you can look at in Overwatch is your deaths. For the vast majority of the player base, reducing the number of times you die will usually make a big difference to how much of an impact you have in a game. It's pretty straightforward that if you live longer, you'll be able to have more chances to swing fights your way. There are, of course, some players who are overcautious and actually need to be more aggressive, but in general, deaths are the symptoms of mistakes you made. So the first thing you should be doing is looking at the moments you died and asking yourself, what did I do wrong? And what could I have done differently? With a new replay system, this is easier than ever before, because where previously you'd only have your own perspective to go off of, now you can watch what's happening from all angles and see exactly what went wrong. Of course, the reasons why you die can be vast and varied, so there are a couple of things to consider. First and foremost is positioning. The exact elements of this will depend on which hero you're playing, but you should be asking yourself, was I too close? Was I too far from my team? Was I at an exposed angle? Was I out of line of sight of my healers? These are the things that will usually tell you where you went wrong positionally. If you're unsure, try and use the free cam and gauge where you are in comparison to your team and the enemies and the general map geography. The second thing, and this is usually what people fixate on, is execution. Maybe you were in the right position, doing the right thing, but did you execute it poorly? Did you miss a key shot? Did you get lost in a team fight? Are you actually using your abilities to their fullest? Again, what you should be thinking about is, if you had executed a certain move better, would you have lived? Fairly simple, but fairly important question to ask yourself. Next up is awareness. This is perhaps the hardest skill to teach, and it's something that generally comes with time and understanding. The idea here is that generally you want to ask yourself, is there a threat you could have seen coming but didn't? Was there a Reaper you saw teleporting away but then forgot about? Is the enemy Reinhardt suddenly missing from the front line? Well, he's probably behind you trying to make a flank shatter. Is there an ultimate the enemy team had that you should be keeping at the forefront of your mind? For example, if you're Zenyatta and you know they have an EMP, it's your job to stay hidden and out of line of sight. If you forget and get EMP'd, you've got no one but yourself to blame. This also leads on to the next thing you could be looking at, which is comms. This is obviously tricky because this doesn't get saved with the new replay feature. So the best solution for this is to still record your games through whatever software you want to use and then listen back. Was there a key comm that you ignored? Was there a call out you could have made that would have helped your team? Was there a call that you did make that actually resulted in a bad play? If you're consistently ignoring your teammates, or you're consistently making a type of call out that's resulting in you getting killed, then that's the kind of thing you want to be looking out for and weeding out of your game. These things that I've just spelled out are good outlines for what you should be looking at in all scenarios, not just your deaths. For example, the same applies to a lost team fight. This is the area where most people default to blaming their team. But while it might feel good to absolve yourself of guilt and blame it on your allies, if you actually want to improve, you have to start looking at what you could have done to swing lost team fights. Again, with the new replay system, this is potentially very easy, because you can see the observer point of view and look if there's something you could have done to affect the fight. Is there a better position you could have been in? Is there an ability or play you could have made to have an impact? Is there a way you could have organized your team better? Let them know of an ultimate that's about to come their way, or suggest better pathing. It often seems like an inevitability when you lose a team fight, but if you individually can start to swing even one extra team fight per match, that might just be the difference between losing and winning a game, and that will definitely count come the end of the season. Another thing you should be looking out for is what I'd call near misses. This is a situation where you do something that, in a different game, could have resulted in you dying or your team losing that fight. So for example, maybe you made an overly bold play that lands you in hot water, but your teammates bailed you out with a well-timed bubble or immortality field and you lived. Maybe you find yourself in the enemy's backline and they see you, but they don't respond and you get away with your life thanks to their stupidity. Or maybe you use an ult when it's completely not necessary and it doesn't cost you the immediate fight, but it might cost you the next one. I say this a lot, but just because you get away with a decision doesn't mean you made the right one. So if you're watching your game back and you spot something that's a little bit off, don't just ignore it if you happen to come out of it alive. You should be thinking to yourself, oh damn, that was bad, I could have been really punished for it. Let me not do that next time. Finally, while it can be very easy when you're VOD reviewing yourself to be overly critical, it's also a good habit to talk about the things that you do well. If when you're watching yourself back, you make some big plays or you consistently do something that is smart and correct, then go ahead and pat yourself on the back for it. Make sure you understand what your strengths are as much as you understand your weaknesses. Otherwise, you can just end up having a skewed self-perception of your gameplay and your ability. Remember, the purpose of this is not to put yourself down, it's just to get a better perspective on what kind of player you are and what areas you need improving on. As long as you don't get too carried away one way or the other, you'll be just fine. So, here's the summary checklist of all the things to look out for. Once again, feel free to revisit this, you don't have to get it all in one go. These are very broad and basic things, and there's a lot more minor things that you can look out for, some of which I will mention during my self-review. Generally, one thing to remember is that as you strive to get better and as you climb higher, you will have to focus on smaller and smaller mistakes. For pros, the mistakes they make are often very minute, or sometimes not even to do with their own individual play, but their play as a team overall. In the highest areas of ladder, you'll probably be doing most things correctly, so it will come down to fixing even the smallest mistakes you're making. But of course, if you're someone who's just starting the climbing process, then don't fixate too much on the small mistakes. Try to iron out the large problems first. And importantly, try to identify patterns of why you make mistakes. For example, let's say you're always getting into the wrong position because you're not staying with your team. Identifying that pattern of play is the best way to figure out how to improve. Because next time you go into your game, you'll know, okay, I have to stick with my team this game. I'm just going to try and stick with my team because the minute I leave them, I end up dying. Now, with all that out the way, let's get to watching one of my games and roasting SCB. So this is a game I played a few days ago on King's Row as Reinhardt. Now recently, I haven't had the time to play much Overwatch, and with a game like this, you get rusty very quickly. Even though I was eager to try Role Q Beta, I felt very out of sorts in this and most of my placement games, which is exactly what makes them perfect games to analyze and break down. The kind of games that you should be looking at for yourself are either games where you felt you played really well, but you still lost, or a game where you just felt you were making a lot of mistakes, regardless of winning or losing. In this case, we won this game, but I personally felt like I wasn't playing anywhere near as well as I could. So it's helpful for me to understand what mistakes I was making and what the patterns were about why I was making them. So let's get started and see what we can find. Okay, so spawn door is open. Throw a little fire strike out, fair enough. But now, okay, already 5 seconds in, we have a decision to make. Now, as you can see, Widowmaker takes a shot from the balcony, domes my Zarya, and she's nearly dead. Now, I'm holding this angle, and I'm fairly happy with this angle. I think this is a much better angle. The Zarya clearly wants to hold here, but the problem with holding here is that there's a lot of risks involved. Firstly, we don't know exactly what comp they're running. They can just come out of this corner, speed boost through us, bulldoze us. They could symmetric teleport behind us. They could have a Mei and wall us off, so anything can happen. And this would only really be viable if we had a Mei to wall them off. The second disadvantage is that if I'm up front here and a Widowmaker decides to hook shot over here, or even from there, she can easily look over my shield, over the top of my, I don't know how I'm drawing, over the top of my shield and hit here, or over the top of my shield and basically look over my character. So there's definitely no need for me to be out there. And actually you'll see in this video that my Zarya and I have a couple disagreements about positioning. In this case, I go a little bit forward to try and protect her, but now we're in an awkward position. Thankfully, we don't really get punished for it, but that's clearly a bad start already. Could I have gone forwards and helped her? Potentially yes, but then as a consequence, I'll end up out of position. And like I said, potentially someone gets domed behind me. So I'm fairly happy with my decision to stay where I was. Now they're pushing forward. My shield's already low, so I have to back up. Ball rolls through. Doomfist goes and gets a nice kill. Ball rolls through again. Okay, this is a good pin. Take out the Sigma. So again, with Sigma, if you know he doesn't have the rock up, then he's pretty much a free pin target. So if you can get a safe pin, then that's good. And in this case, my team was getting kills. My team was being aggressive, so definitely worth getting a pin there. So far, so good, but I think it will start to go downhill soon. So actually, yeah, already we see I'm really far ahead now. I'm really pushing forward aggressively. And there you go, I get hit by 2 CCs. So Mistake number one is clearly overextending too far here, because I get hit with the rock and I get hit with the sleep dart. So as you can see what's going to happen in a second, my Baptiste now drops the immortality field because he thinks I'm going to die, or he's at least worried that I might die. So my decision to push forward here and be overly aggressive, I didn't need to go that far. I could have just stayed here and shielded my team. But instead I go all the way. I get hit with a CC because I'm too busy swinging. And now I forced out an important cooldown for my team, and it forces my team probably in an awkward situation. So going a bit too bloodthirsty there. Now my team is continuing this bloodthirstiness by pushing out very, very aggressively. You can see my McCree goes very deep. And again, I could be in a position where I go out and follow him, but then that's again very risky. Remember, there's a Widowmaker who could just come out on the balcony and start doming people who are back here. And of course, any of these guys can come flank at any minute. So again, I'm happy with my decision to stay here and shield my team, but that initial overextension was bad. So see now my McCree now is forced to back up. He gets away with this. He was a little bit far deep. And now actually you see the other problem of holding too far up is that if I'm holding here, if I'm holding here, and what happens here is this Hammond is rolled through, but he's knocked me back, but not either of my two friendlies here. So neither the Baptiste nor the McCree have been knocked back, meaning that me as the primary shield is now behind them. They're now exposed. And there you go. The McCree gets put to sleep. And I don't react quickly enough to actually save him. So if we rewind that, my McCree's pushing out a little bit too deep. Now he's forced to come back. But because we're really far aggressive, I get knocked back. And my mistake here is not recognizing the danger. So I should notice immediately that because I've been knocked back, my McCree and Baptiste have to scramble. My Baptiste heads up in the hotel smartly, but my McCree is desperately trying to come through, and you can just see here a sleep dart's about to come hit him. Now obviously I can't see that, but I should be able to anticipate that if the balls roll through him and my McCree's out of position, I need to hold my shield up. Instead I fire strike, and as a consequence my McCree gets slept. Even now I'm still too busy swinging on this Hammond. I'm not shielding my McCree. I haven't realized that he's asleep, so by the time I actually react, he's dead. So big mistake from me, but also my McCree. And in my case, I need to be focusing on me. So definite mistake there. My McCree ends up dying, and we're at a 5v6. Shatter fails miserably. This is something that actually happens a couple times in this video, where probably I'm not really adapted to the Sigma yet. And I try to shatter. Let's go back and watch. I try to shatter from this. I think basically this is what I see, and I try to shatter thinking he doesn't have a shield. But of course I should realize that at any minute he can just right click and put his shield up. And that's exactly what happens. So not adapting to the new hero and not adapting to what's probably going to happen, and not anticipating that because he didn't have his shield anywhere, it's very, very likely he's going to put his shield up in a second. I should have either waited for him to put it somewhere else, or I should have waited for it to break before I do this. So that's a poor decision. That's one ultimate gone to waste. And now I make another poor decision, which is to start pushing ahead and swinging. I get hit by a rock, and now I'm vastly out of position. So if we go back there, so after I miss this shatter, maybe it's out of a feeling that I need to make up for this. The Hammond slams behind, so I should know this. I know I've been knocked up in the air, so I know there's a Hammond behind me, and I know I've just heard the minefield sound cue. So I know that my team is somewhere behind me, potentially in trouble. But I decide for whatever reason to start swinging. Maybe I see this low HP Hammond. I think I saw a Mercy who was kind of low as well at the time. I start swinging, but now I'm swinging at this Sigma who's full HP almost, and is able to hit me with a rock and knock me down. Meanwhile, look at my team. I'm not there to protect them. If I'm more disciplined and I just continue to hold this angle, I can even back up with the bubble that Azaria gives me and take some of these minefields out the way. I protect my team from any follow-up damage that these guys might do. Instead, I push here, and now all this damage angle is there for the enemy team to hit my team with, and that's just a poor decision overall. Eventually I get back in position by the looks of it, and no harm done, but that's again what you would call a near miss. I could have been punished, and I wasn't. Now the McCree goes in and flashbangs my Lucio, and for whatever reason, I think that I decide that's a good time to charge. Again, I get hit with a rock because I don't connect. Now let's watch back. Was that a problem of execution, or was that a poor decision? At this point of charging, is this a decent decision? Potentially yes, because there's only an Ana and a Sigma here. The McCree is being dealt with by the Doomfist. So if I connect with this Sigma and I pin him against his car, that's probably a good win for me. But I think what you're going to see is what ends up happening is I miss. So there's a problem execution there. Poor execution. That potentially could have cost me a lot heavier than this. So it seems my team does alright. My McCree gets 2 kills. My Doomfist gets a 3rd. So we survived that, but that was definitely not great play from me. Okay, so fast forward a little bit more. Next fight's about to start. Again, my Zarya is very, very interested in going so deep. And again, the same exact things happened that happened earlier. Because my Zarya is desperate to hold here, what happens is the Hammond swings through. He knocks me back and knocks the Zarya this way. Now the Zarya has no bubble and is going to die. Almost certainly. I'm a little bit focused on the Hammond, so maybe I didn't respond very quickly either. And she ends up dying. Let's watch that back. Could I have saved our Zarya? Okay, so we're holding here. Now the Hammond comes in. He knocks the Zarya one way, me the other way. Which is, again, like I said, the danger of holding there. And now I try to block the slam. And yeah, I'm too busy trying to block the slam. I'm looking backwards because I'm thinking that he's going to pile drive behind me and knock me up. And instead, I'm not paying attention to the fact that my Zarya is basically dead. I probably couldn't make it here regardless. I don't think I would have made it in time. But that's definitely, again, a mistake and a potential near miss as well. Like in another game, I maybe would have been able to save my Zarya, and I didn't because I didn't react quickly enough, too busy on the Hammond. So not identifying the correct threat and not anticipating what's going to happen. So that's a problem. We're now 5v6. Now I'm pushing too far up. I'm being way too aggressive here. I shouldn't be this far up. And you can see I'm getting knocked around a little bit. And I think in this panic, I try to drop this Shatter. It's okay. It's not ideal to solo Shatter a Sigma, but if I was really feeling the pressure, that was okay. But now I make a very poor decision, which is to countercharge this Hammond. I'm thinking that I can pin him when he comes out of his hook. But not only do I miss, I end up in a really bad position. And if we go back a second, actually we're just going to see, I'm going to get CC'd, Immortality Field is not going to save me, I'm going to die. But if we go back a second, this is essentially one mistake that leads to many. We'll watch it from the third person. We'll watch it from the free cam. Now, so the first mistake obviously was the Zarya part, but that, let's even put that aside. Pretend this is a 6v6 and I'm holding here. Okay, they're pushing, rotating. Now I'm way too aggressive, way too aggressive, because there's clearly a potential for any of these guys to come from here, and there's only 2-3 people here. So me pushing this far up is really not necessarily, especially when you consider that I don't have an off tank with me. But even then, this is really risky. Now as a consequence, I'm a little bit out of position. I'm not there to protect my McCree, who's high nooning. But now I'm getting knocked around by this Hammond. So I'm in a panicked position because I'm out of position. I try to drop this Shatter on this Sigma, which is not a great Shatter. And now, even if I pin this Hammond in an ideal scenario, right? At this point of time, he's actually got more HP than a pin would do. So this pin wouldn't even kill him. Even if I pin him here, I'm going to end up in the same position that I end up in anyways. So let's say in an ideal scenario, I have this Hammond pinned with me here. I'm still in a horrible position. I'm still going to get CC'd. I'm going to get flanked upon. So even in the best case scenario, that would have been a poor decision. As it is, I end up dying. So that's definitely a mistake of anticipation, not anticipating what was going to happen, and a really poor decision there. Poor awareness, poor decision. Okay, fast forward. We're still holding that nice aggressive position. Don't want to go too deep, but okay, so the Hammond comes in now, and he drops his minefield. So he's behind me, he's kind of harassing my team. I'm clearing the mines, and this Graviton goes down. Okay, so I'm swinging. And I think in a second I'm going to charge here, and it's going to be a bad decision. So as you see, I go for the charge. I get the kill on the Ana, but I end up dying as a consequence. Now that's definitely not worth it. And what the hell is going on with this McCree right now? What? That is the ultimate crouch. I think he's just deformed himself there, but okay. So the minute this Graviton goes down, okay, it's fine. I'm swinging into this. This is all fine at this point. But now, I'm trying to take this angle for the pin. This isn't even a great pin angle. Even if I do pin someone here, I'm going to end up exactly where I do end up anyways, right? And I just and the Hammond dies, and I happen to run into the Ana and get the kill. And considering spawn advantage, considering the situation where we only have 30 seconds left, me pinning here and dying is really not a good decision, because now my team is without their main tank. And without the shielding, I think what's going to happen is that they're going to lose the follow-up fight. We win the immediate fight, but again, this is what you, I guess, call a near miss or just a full miss, because once again, Zarya, as we know she likes, ends up going too far and dying, not respecting the damage potential. And now my team is down 2. Now it's down both tanks. And they're still not backing up, so they're still going to get punished. People still going to get more stagger kills. Dragon goes in, slam goes in. So because of my poor decision to charge, pin and die with that Ana, we now lose all that ground. And I know we lose this point as well. We go to point C. So again, maybe if I don't make that decision, maybe if I'm there to back up my team in the follow-up fight, because we win the first one, I have Shatter as well. So maybe we hold this point, and maybe they don't even come to point C. So again, one poor decision always leads to all other poor decisions. Okay, fast forward. We're coming out of spawn, trying to recontest. Pushing ahead. But once again, a little bit too distracted with the Hammond. Fire Strike is nice. This pin is probably better because at least I know that there's a sound barrier coming. And although I missed the Hammond, it's a good area to be in because you can see I'm right in the thick of it. I've got too much HP for them to do anything about it, and my team is pushing aggressively. So, okay pin, not great, a little bit disappointing so far, but it's okay. Now, this is a really bad charge, really bad charge. I don't think I'm clearly planning here what's going to happen when I charge, because if you look at the angle, I'm heading for this railing. Maybe if I pin against this wall, it would be okay and I kill the Sigma. But look at the situation here. I really shouldn't be pinning here when we've just lost the Zarya and they've got their spawn right there. As you can see, I'm going to pin against this barrier and now I'm in deep trouble. Now I'm forced to run back and my team is scrambling a little bit. And I think what's going to happen is, as a consequence, we're going to be screwed in the follow-up fight. Because now a dragon goes down. You're going to see it in a second. The dragon is coming this way, so that's going to zone me out. And now an anti-nade is about to hit me. So I'm at 60 HP, nearly dead. Immortality field comes out, but of course the dragon is still zoning us. I don't have much shield. And we're dead. So one poor decision, once again, leads to many poor decisions. One poor charge puts me in a horrible position. I can't back up quickly enough. As a consequence, both me and the rest of my team dies. So poor decision there. Okay, so yeah, block the rock, that's good. I'm forced to touch point. Hammond is on me. I drop a nice shatter actually. This is a good shatter. It's a nano boosted Sigma and an Ana. But what's going to happen here is this Hammond is going to knock me off. So let's watch back. Could I have seen this coming? Could I have anticipated this was going to happen? When I drop this shatter, I'm opting to go left after this, when in reality, there's no reason I couldn't have gone right. Particularly because I know that there's an edge here. And I also know that there's a Hammond because he just slammed me a second ago. So I know he's around. And I know there's a possibility that he's going to just start swinging to win. On top of that, there's two team members here who I could potentially help by being on that angle. So this decision to go here is poor. Now, obviously these are relatively minor decisions. And if you're someone in platinum or gold, you may not want to fixate on such minor decisions. But the higher you go, obviously these smaller things make a bigger difference. Because now that I get knocked off, I can't follow up on this, and on top of that my team is without their main tank. Again, that one decision to go left instead of right, potentially costing me, and maybe I could have made a difference. Maybe I could have changed the outcome of that fight. Okay, so fast forward to the attack round, coming out of spawn. Let's see what happens. So this time the Hammond slams, but this time I don't turn my shield. So good job so far of not being an idiot. And learning, more importantly, from what's going on in the game previously. So this time I don't get distracted by the Hammond. I continue to hold my shield up. I take one swing, but no more. And now that my Zarya is down, I'm immediately there actually to protect her. So again, so far, at least learning from the things that cost me in the first round. Again, anticipating and blocking his slam so that my team doesn't get knocked up. So that's good. But I could probably do with pushing forward now. Yeah, okay. So finally I go forward a couple seconds late. Once again, the Hammond knocks through us. And now there's a McCree flanking. So I have a decision to make to try and deal with him or try and help my Zarya. I think I should just call and deal with this McCree. Or let someone else deal with this McCree rather. And help my Zarya. But I'm getting a bit too caught up in trying to deal with him. And I'm a little bit out of position. Same goes for the Hammond actually now. I don't know why I'm chasing him and trying to fire strike him when I should be up ahead. I should be trying to help my team. So still making this kind of mistake of getting distracted, and you can see actually where my Zarya is right now. My Zarya is still on point, and I should probably be back here trying to help her. And I see the Sigma, and I try to charge him. This charge was never going to connect, so a poor decision. Forces out the rock, but not great. And again, I'm not there to protect my Zarya. it's arguably both our faults for not being together. But definitely from my perspective, and when I'm looking at my game, I should be there to protect her. Should be there to help. Still not a lost fight. It's only a 5v6. We can still maybe win this. So it's fine to keep contesting. I'm getting knocked again by the Hammond. Okay, Sandberg comes in, saves our Doomfist, who went and got a kill. And now we can push forward. And why do I charge? I really cannot explain what the... I don't know. This is a terrible charge, guys. Don't do this. Don't do that. Okay, let's watch back. What was the thinking when I start this charge here? I don't think I even see. I just blind charge. I think this is just a blind charge in a general direction, which is never do this, guys. Never make decisions blind. Never try to do something without knowing where you're going or knowing what's going to actually happen. So a really poor decision, but as it happens, my team continues to get kills without me. So my team didn't even need me. Clearly, I'm not doing a lot. So very, very poor decision to charge there. Okay, fast forward a couple seconds, and this shatter just doesn't connect. Again, I think this is a blind shatter, really. I don't think I really have properly assessed what's going to happen. I think I'm anticipating that they're going to be there, and I try to shatter. So yeah, as I'm coming around this corner, I can only see this Ana. So this is just a terrible decision, because I think I'm anticipating that they're all going to be here, but obviously when I come around the corner, they're not. So again, a blind decision is a really, really bad one, guys. Now we can push forward, but I'm getting way too distracted by the Sombra here. I try to fire strike and I swing. I kill her, but of course my McCree was about to do this anyways. My McCree's got her flashbang, so he's going to kill her anyways. And in the meantime, my team is getting Sigma ulted. So yeah, not a good decision for me again. Although we win this fight, if I look back here, so as I'm pushing forward, instead of going here, I could easily be on the left side. I'm on the right because I'm chasing this Sombra, and while I'm fire striking, at this point I could have easily been here and protecting my team. Could have been holding this angle for them, protecting them from any damage. And when the Sigma ult goes down, I could have just taken 2 steps forward, walked out of it, and then been around to be an aggressive threat. Maybe I can pressure these 2 supports here. But instead, because I'm too focused on the Sombra, we all end up getting taken up in the sky. We survive, but poor decision again. That was a near miss. It could have been a lot more costly. Anticipating that the Ana will sleep dart, blocking that, blocking the rock. So okay, I mean it's not amazing, but adapting. I was getting rocked a lot more earlier on in the game, but now I'm adapting to the rocks and blocking them, so that's something. High noon. Okay, I protect my McCree. And there we go. Finally a shatter that actually connects well. This time, clearly, I anticipate that the Sigma put his shield down, and then I went and shattered. So where previously I was not counting on the fact that he could put his shield up at any second, this time I wait for him to actually put it somewhere else. If we go back, this time I actually wait for him to put his shield down, and now I shatter. Connects with 3 people, does a good job. So finally, SVB not being trash, anticipating and adapting to what's going on. So that's decently done. And now it should be fairly simple for us to cap this point. Okay, so fast forward, final attack round. Let's see how this plays out. I know this goes fairly comfortably for us, but let's see what we can find. Okay, nothing too eventful at the moment. Okay, now my Doomfist is going in, so I think I should be trying to help him, yeah. Okay, but the Hammond comes out. He's trying to knock people around. We're swinging at him. Okay, this is good, because I see the Brigitte coming. I see her coming with her shield up. I know exactly what she wants to do. She wants to bash me. So I put my shield up, block the bash, and then I try to counter charge. But she's also smart. She flails, and that knocks me just off enough for me to miss my charge. Now this is probably not a terrible charge regardless, because I know my Ana is healing me. So we're going to see here, I can back out easily, but I know the situation here. I know my Ana is here with me, because I get the positive effects of this grenade. And as I block this Brigitte bash, if I connect with this pin, that's a big pill. That's a big pick. But even if I don't, I'm clearly not in the worst position here. You know, there's not too many threats here. I'm alright, I'm full HP, I've got an Ana behind me. And of course, if I could get the swing on this Hammond, we could have potentially killed him as well. So not a terrible decision, but not an amazing execution either. Execution could have done with work. Now we're on point. Swinging through. Doomfist comes back, he gets a kill. Okay, finally connect with the pin the way I wanted to, so that's something. And I think from this point on it's just a bit of cleanup. So fairly straightforward. Not too much to do in the attack round, but that one little interaction there could have been a little bit better. So let's summarize there, guys. It's always good after you've seen the whole VOD to try and think back. What are the sort of general points that came out? What are the patterns in particular that came out? So for me, clearly I am very rusty, and I could definitely feel the effects of not having played both in-game and now watching it back. I'm clearly making a lot of mistakes that I'd like to think I wouldn't make ordinarily. So first thing, obviously, practice more, get back in the groove, get back your awareness, get back what you're doing. Secondly, identifying what it was that I was doing wrong. So in this case, the charges were always off. Most of them, I would say 80-90% of them didn't connect the way I wanted them to or were poorly thought out. So maybe unbind my shift key for a while. And particularly if you're feeling like you're in a position where you're not playing at your best, you want to make as few risky decisions as possible. And a Reinhardt charge is always a risky decision. Secondly, my anticipation was lacking. A lot of things happened that I should have seen coming, but I didn't. You know, I didn't protect my McCree a couple times, I didn't protect my Zarya a couple times, and also the Sigma shield a couple times got in my way. Which is another thing to anticipate. Playing against Sigma, I should be more mindful of the fact that I need to wait for his shield to break or for it to be put somewhere else before I actually try and shatter. My awareness wasn't the best, or at least I was very easily distracted. So quite a few times I had my shield turned by the Hammond, which is exactly what he was trying to do. That's the whole point of why he's trying to roll in behind. So by turning and giving him my attention and also denying my team that shield, I'm giving the Hammond exactly what he wants. So I need to not be so easily distracted by flankers, let my team deal with them, call them out, and make sure that I'm protecting my team first and foremost, because that's my job as Reinhardt. And a couple times, particularly in the defense round, I've pushed forward way too aggressively there. A couple times on point A where I went ahead a bit too far and ended up costing my team, at least if not immediately, then in a couple seconds later by being out of position. So too aggressive at a few positions. Now remember I said also be positive, make sure you're counting back the things that you did well. So in my case, the shielding was generally decent. I was holding good angles, which is something that's easy to do because as long as you understand the map and where you should be holding in general, you should always kind of have that down. So that part was fine. And the biggest thing that I think I did well in that game was adapting, which is something I would say is a good strength of mine, particularly. And I think also is a soft skill that a lot of high tier players have that you don't always see in lower tier players, and it's something I think that can really help people climb, is adapting in game, changing what you're doing and changing how you're reacting to things based off what you've seen so far. So in this case, you saw in the first round, I was getting hit with the rocks very often by Sigma, and I was getting slammed and pushed around by the Hammond a lot. But in my attack round, I started to anticipate a lot more. I don't think I got hit by a rock a single time. And I was there to anticipate when the Hammond was slamming. So adapting to what's going on is very, very important. I think I did that decently well. And yeah, I think towards the latter rounds of the game, I started to get into the groove a bit more, started to connect with a shatter or two, and started to get my positioning a lot better. So yeah, got better as the game went on, but certainly need to work on the things that I pointed out. So going into my next game, what I want to be focusing on is charging less, please. Anticipating things a lot more, anticipating threats that could come my way and making sure that I'm protecting my team from those threats, and also being a little less easily distracted. Not turning my shield just because someone has happened to go in behind me unless they're an actually huge threat, which in this case, neither the Hammond nor the Sombra really were. So overall, not too great, but not overly terrible either. And that's all I got for today, guys. Hope you found this video helpful, and hope you won't be too harsh on me for the gameplay you just saw. Like I said, I'm definitely very, very rusty. Hopefully, having watched this, you guys have a bit of a better idea now of how to review yourselves and what are the kind of methods you should be applying to get a better sense of your own mistakes and what you could be doing differently coming into your next game. Like I said, the new replay feature is really, really awesome and makes it really, really easy to see what you were doing, what you were going wrong with, and how you can try and improve. So make sure you make full use of that. And as always, I want to give a big shout out to my patrons who do the awesome job of supporting me. And if you'd like to join them, please do follow the link in the description. But that's all from me. I'll be back next week with another video. See you guys soon.